Well, now let's get into the best cartoons of the week, and I'm joined by the Australian's chief cartoonist, Johannes Leak. Thank you for joining me again.
Pleasure, Jack. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well. Look, let's start with yours because there is a cracker here with this story about the bank ANZ, and it's putting all these rules and regulations on who they'll give loans to. Tell me about the motivation behind this one.
Well, thanks, Jack. Look, it's, I suppose, another step in the sort of this ever-increasing level of kind of corporate virtue signalling that we're seeing from loads of corporations that all want to be seen to be doing all the sort of woke things. And ANZ's the latest that's come out to, with these new dictates on what they expect from their potential clients and customers with regards to their policies on emissions and so forth. So naturally, the agricultural sector is pretty worried about this. Whether it comes to transport, whether it comes to methane coming out of the back ends of livestock, all that sort of thing, they feel like they're back in the firing line when it comes to dealing with banks like ANZ. So that was the motivation behind that cartoon.
I think this is my favourite of the pick. You've got Daniel Andrews here holding a bottle of whiskey, I presume, based on the news story, but everybody else is sitting in cages with masks and there's chaos around. This is an incredibly drawn one as well.
Thanks, mate. Well, yeah, I mean, we finally had the end to the lockdown, a sort of incremental emergence from the lockdown this week. So I thought I'd sort of symbolise that as Andrew's finally lifting the lid, lifting the sort of manhole on his captives, and they're slowly emerging back into the sunlight. And emerging to this sort of economic wasteland. I mean, I've used the wasteland as a kind of visual device throughout this COVID crisis, and of course, it's an absurd and kind of end point type visual that I keep going back to. But Melbourne won't be the same for a long time. I'm sure it will bounce back at some point, but. You can't lose jobs at the rate of 1,200 a day, and the sort of massive amounts of money that they've had to pump into the place and spend just to keep it sort of somehow keep the economy afloat. I think it might not look like a wasteland, but economically speaking, I think it probably is and will be for a while. So if that's what Victorians have to celebrate, then I really do feel for them at the moment. That's for sure.
And what a tone-deaf thing it was to do, to tweet out a photo of you drinking whiskey when there are so many dead people in your state, and now there's a lot of questions around whether their handling could have prevented it. But look, let's go on as well, because John Spoon has a great one as well. Now, Joe Biden's walking into a bar, says, "Howdy, good folks, my name is Joe Biden, and when I'm the new sheriff, I'm going to transition this salon to veggie burgers and CO2-free soda." Tell me about this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a great tradition of cartoons showing, the cowpoke wandering into the saloon and saying something ridiculous. But I love this take. I mean, it's so beautifully drawn. I love the faces on these hardened kind of card players and drinkers sitting around. They're looking over at this guy. Who the hell does this guy think he is? I mean, Biden's announcement that he would transition away from oil, you can only imagine it went down like an absolute lead balloon in some of those very resource-heavy states in America. And so I love the way he's got Trump sitting at the bar just saying, "Keep talking, Joe." Yeah, lovely touch. Sort of speaking of, you mentioned tone deaf before. I think Spoon has really highlighted just how tone deaf that kind of statement would have been to such a large proportion of the US electorate.